My name is Saszeline Emanuelle. I'm a certified therapist and a breath guide. And before I begin, I would like to just start with a breath because we've just been activated. Is that okay with you? So just take a deep breath, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And just once again, inhale all the way down to the belly and exhale. That simple act, the breath, is universal, it's biological, and it's something that connects all of us. As humans, that's our premises, right? We breathe about 23,000 times a day, and each breath is an opportunity to regulate your nervous system, to influence your heart rate, and to shift the chemistry of the brain. And yet, how many of those breaths do we even notice? How many are wasted on being stressed, being challenged in life, maybe by living a life on autopilot, or just pretending to be someone we're not? For me, that's been my journey, breathing life, breathing into authenticity. So I'm just going to share a little bit with you about my life journey. When I was 15 years old, I was a pop star. I was traveling the world with my sister, performing for thousands of people, and we sold a few million records. I was living a dream life only by the age of 15. When I was in my early 20s, my private life was splashed across magazine covers, from love life to infidelity, pregnancy, and loss. But you see, headlines only tell fragments of a story, and fragments, they don't hold the truth. When I was 28, I was celebrating my son's 2-year-old birthday with cake and balloons for my firstborn. And the phone rang, and it was my sister, only 10 years old. And she called me to tell me something that no child should ever have to say. My brother had taken his own life. And in that moment, it still touches me. But it goes from being full of joy until crash, grief, that polarity. When I was 37, I was canceled. I was shut down on my social media account, and I was splashed across all news. Overnight, I went from being a person into being a target. So as you can maybe sense, my life has been full of sharp contrasts. And it always had this question echoing: am I allowed to be truly who I am? You see, I've lost, I've failed, I've fallen, but I have also chosen to rise. And that is why I'm standing here today on this stage, not to share a perfect story, but to share with you how I stopped abandoning myself. Because you see, authenticity isn't something that we find out there somewhere. It's something that we come home to within. So, I was born in Malaysia, but I grew up in a small town in Denmark. My dad was Danish, my mom was Malaysian Indian, and in our house, it was always smelling of Asian spices and not Scandinavian meatballs. I remember that My skin, my color, my background, nothing really fit the mold. Um, I could already feel in a very early age that I was different and I looked different. And being different growing up, it can mean isolation. It can mean being an outcast, that you don't really belong. But for some people, being different is also a gift. And it was for me. Because early on, I felt that I wasn't a citizen of a small town. I was a citizen of Earth, and the whole world was my playground. So you see, being different planted seeds. It awakened my curiosity. And it also built resilience. 10 years after my brother's death, I chose to travel to Costa Rica because I was still healing something that I couldn't really let go. I didn't know how to access it. And I went on a healing retreat. You've heard about those. I've tried some of them, but this one was different. And the first workshop that I attended was a breathwork session. So I laid on the mat, and it was like an open space. I could hear the whispers of the trees, and I started breathing. The guide was telling me how to breathe. Deep inhales and exhale, and I should just keep on going. So this coherent rhythmic breath. And only 20 minutes into it or so, I didn't have any time sense, but my body started cramping and it was like shaking. And my heart was pumping and my hands was clawing up, was cramping. And I felt like my chest was cracking open. It was the worst feeling right there, and I felt like stopping. And the guide kept telling me, just keep going, breathe into the unease. And I did. And then something magical happened. I was crying and crying and crying, and I was like, what the is this? But I did it. And then something magical happened. Something that I've never tried before. Because suddenly I could feel something ancient inside of me. And I wasn't really a spiritual person before, but right there in that moment, something awakened. You see, in all traditions, the breath has always been seen as something sacred. In Latin, the word spiritus means breath. In Hebrew, it's ruach, it's breath and spirit. In Greek, it's pneuma, which is breath, wind, and soul. You've maybe heard the word in Sanskrit, prana, Japanese, ki, and so it goes on. So all traditions knew this, that our breath was what awakened our spirit, what awakens our soul and aligns body, mind, spirit. And right there on the mat, I understood what that meant without even knowing what it was, but I felt something spiritual awaken in me. And it was like letting go of the role, identity, the mask that we're wearing. Because you know, we all wear masks. I've been the one that wore a mask of pretending to be perfect when I wasn't. And maybe your mask looks different. Maybe you're the people pleaser, the perfect parent, the overachiever, the one that never says no. Or this one is a good one, the one that fixes everything, got it all in control. You know that mask? I know it. I've been there too. I'm still working on it. But you see, the integration of breath, of spirit, changed everything for me. Because I no longer live to please. I'm no longer here to be something to fit in. And you see, when you grow up in Scandinavia with Jantelon, translated the law of Jante, which is not a real law, it's a cultural law or a cultural programming, I would say. Don't think you're anything special. Don't think you're smarter than us. I've been the person on the other side, hearing those words again and again, growing up in the public eye. So that was part of who I was, always being the perfect one. But you see, releasing and letting go, that changed everything for me. Something that had shifted. That person that didn't need validation or acceptance to feel worthy. Who are you? Who are you? And that's the deeper question here. If the world rejects you, do you abandon yourself or do you belong to yourself? I had to ask myself that question because I had chosen this. And somewhere, somehow, this was a blessing in disguise. The breaking point for me became my breakthrough. Today, I am a certified therapist. I'm a breath guide. I have so many people coming to me every week. I guide with the breath, and whatever happened to me, I hold space for others. So you see, I truly believe that whatever happens for us, that there is a deeper intelligence behind it all. I truly believe that whatever life is throwing at us is for us to learn something from it. When I was the most alone, it was life guiding me back home to myself. So I would just like us to try something together. If you could all take your right hand, place it on your heart, and your left hand on your belly, and just relax your shoulders. And now take a deep breath, a double inhale through the nose, first down into the belly and then to the chest, and it looks like this. And the sigh through the mouth. And again, inhale, inhale, exhale. And now try closing your eyes. Inhale down into the belly. Inhale, exhale. And one last time. Inhale down into the belly, up into the chest, and exhale. Beautiful. Do you feel that shift? So simple. You see, that's your vagus nerve, your body's brake pedal, and it's signaling safety. So I have one question, one last question. Are you allowed to be truly who you are? Not only are you allowed to, you were born to. You were born to be alive, honest with yourself, authentic, to love and to live and to speak freely, and not be someone that everyone else wants you to be. So, this was my journey, breathing into authenticity. Thank you.